Can't blame Reid, you can't blame Obama. This is a Republican issue now. We've got to fix it, and that's the good news. The bad news is we've got to fix it.
How about stop lying? Because here, okay, I'm confused. So the CBO report is bad, but the deficit numbers of the CBO are good. So if the CBO report is bad when it comes to coverage, but the deficit numbers are good, how all of a sudden you're criticizing the CBO?
Well, but so Hogan responds, because it's not the, Paul Ryan is actually saying the CBO report is accurate. He's not the one working to delegitimize that report, but somebody like Tom Price, for example.
And Mulvaney.
And Mick Mulvaney have said they very much disagree. You heard Mick Mulvaney earlier this hour sort of mocking the CBO report. So Hogan, you know, I posed this question to Sean Spicer yesterday at the briefing. Do you think Republicans believe that the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, whose job it is to figure out the price for legislation, is legit, or is this kind of a political maneuver just from the White House side of things?
It's tough to say, but look, the CBO is one of those organizations where if it gives you the numbers you want, you praise it. If it gives you the numbers you don't want, you deride it. It's just like poll numbers in a campaign. If they're good, you like them. If they're bad, you say the polling's flawed. So it's the same thing here. Well, the question is, where does that PR battle actually fall? Because right now, so many people like Tom Price saying the CBO is worthless. They didn't take into account the entire plan, but he put the guy in charge of the CBO. So it's very difficult for him to now criticize the organization and what he actually put the hierarchy in place. Now he's going to go against it. There are a lot of Republicans who, rightly so, point out the CBO was grossly wrong when it came to Obamacare. 24 million people they expected to be on the exchanges by this time. They're only 12 now. So they've been wrong in the past, but it's just difficult to navigate that water because you're trying to negotiate against yourself. You're trying to critique and criticize yourself. Now that you have your hand-picked person at the head, it's tough to go against that.
So enrollment estimates from the CBO were off by roughly 30% after the Supreme Court obviously made those changes. They've updated.
Yeah, because that has a lot to do with court battle.
But let me talk about the timing of something else here, guys, because there's this new audio that's out from Breitbart, okay, of Paul Ryan, supposedly from this October conference call with Republicans, talking about then-candidate Trump after the Access Hollywood controversy. I want to play you a little bit of this.
There are basically two things that I want to make really clear. I am not going to defend Donald Trump. Not now, not in the future. Look, you guys know I have real concerns with our nominee.
So let's be clear here. NBC News has not verified the authenticity of this recording. And just remember that we kind of knew, we did know, the reporting from sources who had listened to that call back at the time, the substance of the call, his comments were widely reported.
Right. The president and Paul Ryan, they have never had a great relationship. It has always been tense. And they have two very different styles. And President Trump is the type of person, there's some people he connects with real well. They have a similar management style, similar way of communicating. You can see those people he brings into his inner circle. Paul Ryan is not one of those people. Paul Ryan is methodical. He is more of a think tank type. President Trump, obviously, a shoot from the hip. He's, you know, not a true fundamentalist conservative the way that Ryan is. And so I think that that's, you know, on a lot of these issues, it's going to be a long 4 years if Paul Ryan is here in 4 years.
They share the exact same thing. Both want power. Speaker Ryan, it will go along with anything because he wants power.
Well, he didn't go along with that.
Yeah,
right?
But here's the deal, though. He didn't go along with it as he was a nominee, but he knows he's the president. He's Speaker of the House. Now he can drive his agenda with Trump sitting there. They like power, period.
I mean, but Ryan has spent a lot of time trying to identify himself as the entire policy, you know, he's a policy heart and soul of the Republican Party. That's how he sold himself for years. And so this conflict with Trump, if they continue to butt heads, I mean, it could really fundamentally change the way the party goes.
And there is a group within the White House, Reince Priebus, who also has ties to Wisconsin, a number of RNC people within the White House who are going to be more in this Paul Ryan camp.
Absolutely.
I want to bring in Hogan here about this idea that the White House is giving themselves some wiggle room on that wiretapping claim from President Trump. So I want to play you a little exchange. This is not to be gratuitous because it's me asking Sean Spicer, the press secretary, this, but it was kind of a moment, and I want to play it for you, and then Hogan, get your response. Listen.
Okay.
You said when he meant wiretapping,
right.
He said it, he meant surveillance.
No, because he literally had it in quotes.
So you're interpreting the tweet for us, it sounds like.
No, in some cases I'll ask him what did the quotes mean, and he'll say...
Did you ask him about this?
I did.
What did he say?
He said they were in quotes. It was referring to surveillance overall. It's something that had been referred to in other reports.
So he cited other reports in his conversation with you?
He did, yes.
So that is Sean Spicer acknowledging that at least in part that presidential tweet from 10 days ago accusing President Obama of wiretapping Trump Tower, of having it wiretapped, was partly based on news reports. Hogan, what should we assume is in air quotes from the president and what is not? What do you make of that?
Look, I can't get into those tweets. I don't understand the air quote conversation. I listened to you ask that question yesterday live in real time. What I really don't quite grasp in this whole deal is, let's be honest, most newscasts today, their producers use the New York Times to do their entire rundown. Their show's based around the front page.
Well, I vehemently disagree with that as somebody who has a show that doesn't base its program on the New York Times.
You're one of the few exceptions, Hallie. Some of the shows that precede you use it and put it up all day long, showing the front page consistently. But that particular paper of record, the Gray Lady, pushed this particular narrative that there were surveillances to Trump Tower, citing 2 FISA requests for surveillance. So the question, to dismiss this out of hand, I'm not saying he did or didn't do it. I'm not saying Trump is right or wrong. I'm saying to dismiss this as being folly and ridiculous when it was reported widely throughout this country via the New York Times and the BBC is a little bit disingenuous, because clearly something went down. The reporter had a source. So why are we having this conversation about that?
Hogan, you and I love Marvin Gaye together, but you know doggone well that's crazy. The White House should be drug testing. Let me put that in air quotes. This is dumb. The president lied. Sean Spicer does not want to defend it. They could not present any evidence on yesterday. We didn't make anything up. He lied. Accept the lie and move on. But he does not want to ever accept responsibility. That's Trump's problem.
Last word goes to Roland. Hogan, you will get the last word next time. Thank you both for joining us here. Right. Hogan, stay warm where you are. Roland, good luck to you. Kelsey, Shannon, really appreciate you guys being here with us. Up next, we are in fact talking more about the nor'easter in New England. Those forecast totals still in the really, really big range, right around 2 feet. We're going to have another live report from those snowy conditions up next.